Hey guys, hope you're all doing well out there and welcome back to another video. Today's video is talking about worship pedal boards or praise and worship pedal boards. If you play in a praise and worship band, or if you've spent any time looking at the equipment that praise and worship guitarists use, you probably have learnt two different things. Number one, that most worship pedal boards and just worship guitar rigs in general are crazy expensive. You're usually talking the Strymon trifecta with a bunch of boutique overdrives and compressors and choruses and a MIDI switcher and a boutique guitar and a boutique amp. Often you'll find pedal boards that look like this. The other thing you may have learned is if a worship guitar rig does not look like that, it's usually really affordable, and the pedal board might look something like this. Now, there's nothing wrong with having the super expensive rig, and there's nothing wrong with having the super cheap rig. I think they're both valid options, they're both viable. At the end of the day, it's all about budget and things like that. But it kind of annoys me when you watch a video of someone who is running through their worship guitar rig and they're saying that you need this, $500 Strymon pedal for worship music, or they can't live without this $400 compressor, or they need this super boutique overdrive on their board and every other worship player should have it. So today I wanted to make a video to show you guys that you don't have to have a dirt cheap worship pedal board, but you don't have to have a super expensive one either. I think you can stick with good quality, well-known brands and have a really professional sounding pedal board that will sound, in my opinion, just as good as the really expensive pedal boards, but might be a step up in quality and longevity and things like that compared to the super cheap pedal boards. Now, I want to go on record and reiterate what I said before. I think super expensive worship pedal boards are totally viable. If you can afford it, if that's your thing, then go for it. And if you've got a super cheap pedal board with, a bunch of Mosky and, Joyo pedals, then go for it. They're fantastic as well. I just wanted to show people out there that they don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get a super high quality pedal board for worship music. So we're going to run through each pedal that I've put on this worship pedal board. We're going to hear them individually and then we're going to hear them all together at the end in the context of what you might play in worship music. I'm going to give you the prices as well as alternatives for these pedals. These prices are going to be brand new Australian dollars. At the end, I'm going to put the total on the screen as well so you can see how much this pedal board costs if you were to buy them all brand new. Now, this doesn't include the pedal board or the cables or anything like that. This is just the pedals. So without further ado, let's jump into going through these pedals, hearing how they sound, and we'll have a listen to how a bunch of them sound together to create some worship music. The first pedal on this board is the Boss CS3 Compression Sustainer. This is a classic compressor pedal. It's often criticized for being a little bit noisy. I don't think it is that noisy. As long as you're using the right power supply, you'll be fine. It's a fantastic compressor though. It's really underrated. It does a great compressor sound and it's got all the controls you need as well as a tone control, so you can use it as a tone shaper as well. This pedal will be left on the whole time I'm demonstrating the board. So even though we're about to go through all the pedals individually, this is staying on the whole time. The Ibanez Tube Screamer Mini is our first stage drive, and I believe on a worship pedal board, if possible, Doesn't always have to be the case, but if possible, have a drive with some sort of EQ character and have a transparent drive. So this is our drive with EQ character. It's a light to medium gain overdrive with a mid hump. I'm sure you're all familiar with the Ibanez Tube Screamer. This one's super affordable and it is an actual Ibanez Tube Screamer. It's not a clone or copy or whatever. It's Ibanez, so you can't go wrong with it. Now, as previously mentioned, an overdrive with some sort of EQ character can stack really well with a transparent overdrive such as this, the TC Electronic Mojo. These are fantastic, really natural feeling overdrive pedals. You leave the EQ controls centered like that where there's a little notch and it's pretty transparent, otherwise you can EQ to taste. It's a medium gain overdrive. It's fantastic. Even if you're not playing worship music or even if you don't have it on your board, I think this is a pedal that you should always just keep around. The Boss CH1 is going to cover our modulation. Now you can have whatever modulation you'd like. I love chorus, especially for worship music. This is my favorite chorus pedal of all time. I prefer it to a CE2 type chorus sound. I think it's fantastic. I love that no matter what setting you have on it, it's not too extreme. All of it's pretty tasteful and it can go pretty subtle as well. So this is a great chorus pedal for worship, or just a great chorus pedal to have around. I also like that it's got an EQ control as well to further tailor your tone for your chorus sounds. The Boss FV30 volume control. Now I don't have an alternative for this because this is pretty much the best cheap volume pedal out there, but the only alternative I would recommend is just using the volume control on your guitar. I think it's a good skill to be able to volume swell just using your guitar, rather than a pedal. So it's always nice to have a volume pedal on the board, especially for worship music when you're doing the swells and stuff. But you know, you can always do it from your volume control on the guitar. Save a bit of money, save a bit of space on the board. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way. The Boss DD7 is a modern classic digital delay. It's got a whole bunch of different modes and sounds in it. I was using it for a dotted eighth digital delay sound, and I also had a tap tempo control going into the tap tempo input. If you don't want to do that, you can just hold it down, hold the foot switch down, and then it activates a tap tempo mode with the actual foot switch. So you can have it as a really compact do-all delay pedal. I always think it's good to have a lot of these ambient effects on a worship pedal board. You can get the Boss DD8 now, which is probably just as good. I haven't tried it. I like the DD7. And last but not least, the Nux Atlantic delay and reverb pedal. So we're doubling up on the delay, which I think is a cool thing to do on a worship pedal board. If you can afford to do it, then do it. But if you can only afford one delay and one reverb, this is the pedal. It's got a spring, hall and plate reverb, and if you hold the reverb foot switch, it does a different thing depending on what setting it's on. It's also got a 70s, 60s and 80s delay sound, which is, so you've got digital delay, analog and tape delay, basically. You can tap the tempo with the foot switch there, and you can choose the subdivisions with the time knob as well. It also has stereo out if that's your thing. I don't really use stereo out, but it's there. I know Nux in the past has often been considered a pretty cheap Far Eastern Chinese brand, I guess. This series of pedals from Nux is really high quality, and it's kind of the best that China has to offer. A lot of the other pedals I've showed you were made in China anyway. A lot of the Boss pedals I've showed you were made in Taiwan. So don't look down on it because it's a cheap Chinese brand, because Nux are stepping up their game, and this is the best they've got to offer. And this isn't super cheap either. It's built like a tank. I've owned a few of these. This is the delay and reverb pedal you need if you can only get one. Okay, I'm going to leave you guys here now to go listen to the sounds of all the effects combined. We're going to hear some different combinations to see what they would sound like in the context of worship music. Please let me know what you think of this pedal board and the sounds in the comments below. I think it sounds fantastic. I think it's a really good quality, solid pedal board. It's just as good quality as a lot of the expensive ones. It's going to last you just as long, and the sounds are there as well. Somewhere down here the price is going to be, so you can see how much this is all up. I think I did a rough estimation. I'm not going to say what it was though, in case it's completely wrong to whatever numbers down here, but it'll definitely be a lot cheaper than a lot of the big $4,000 or $5,000 pedal boards that you often see in the worship music scene. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And again, please leave your comments below of what you thought of this pedal board. Please enjoy the sounds that are coming up, and I'll see you guys in the next video.